Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 401 Knighthood. Edward's POV. Pepper's friend, Trent Grimm, the reporter, released the newspaper article the next day. I picked up the newspaper and began reading. There was a casual photo of me on the front page, something Trent had taken the day before, me in casual clothes, sitting in front of the mantel. The Independent, special feature. Sir Edward Newgate. The Reluctant Artist Who Changed Modern Medicine. By Trent Grimm. London, yesterday, news from Buckingham Palace shook the country. Edward Newgate, the man who holds the record for the greatest number of albums sold, was formally knighted by His Majesty the Queen for extraordinary contributions to medical science and humanitarian service, rather than for his music. The award, given sparingly to scientists in the last century, marks a pinnacle in the career of a man whose work has already saved millions worldwide, through both his music and his medicine. Newgate is best known for pioneering effective cures for HIV and type 1 diabetes, medical feats that until recently were deemed impossible. But his research had far-reaching consequences beyond these headline achievements. By targeting the immune and endocrine systems at their roots, his therapies have yielded breakthroughs for diseases long linked to these conditions: Kaposi's sarcoma, cytomegalovirus infections, chronic pancreatitis, and certain forms of autoimmune hepatitis. Hospitals across the globe report drastic declines in HIV-related opportunistic infections and diabetes-related amputations since Newgate's treatments became available. The entire country waits excitedly for the man to receive his honor. A man unmoved by opulence. If you ask Pepper Saltzman, Newgate's longtime associate, the knighthood celebration could have been the most extravagant party London had ever seen. Saltzman was reportedly planning a budget in excess of $5 million, complete with a private orchestra and imported floral installations. But as I learned firsthand, Edward Newgate is a man resistant to excess. When I visited his home the day after the ceremony, I overheard a good-natured but pointed negotiation between him and Saltzman. "You want to spend over $5 million on the party," Newgate said, leaning back in his chair. "That's insane, Pepper. Do you know how many people we could help with that kind of money?" Newgate would rather use his money for the good of humankind than have an extra lavish party. Saltzman pointed out that Newgate had held lavish parties before, but was countered by Newgate's stepmother, who explained he only did that for employee morale, never for himself. Eventually, they settled on a compromise, with the remaining budget donated to charity. I had intended to approach the scientist cautiously. After all, many public figures bristle when they realize a journalist has overheard private conversations. Newgate was startled when he saw me, and I expected to be kicked out for eavesdropping. Instead, Newgate greeted me warmly, listened intently to my questions, and showed no irritation. That conversation confirmed what the knighthood could only hint at. This is a man to whom titles and celebrations matter far less than tangible help for others. The interview. Over tea, I asked Newgate about the road that led to his first great discovery, the cure for diabetes. "I started my research after my dad was diagnosed with liver cirrhosis," he explained, a hint of melancholy in his expression. "That led me into stem cell research, which in turn helped with the diabetes treatment." When I asked why he turned next to HIV, his first answer was a joke. "Is long hours of working with a hot lab assistant a good enough reason?" But he quickly became serious. "I tried to anchor myself to reality so I wouldn't lose myself in fame or the luxury that comes with wealth," he said. Pressed further, he explained how he had anchored himself over the years. "I visited children's hospitals a lot. I lost many friends I'd met there, as they succumbed to their conditions. I wanted to help them, so I started researching more into incurable diseases. I guess I was doing it for them. His matter-of-fact delivery made the sentiment all the more striking. There was no trace of self-congratulation or calculated soundbite. The words were simply true. He also seemed to blame himself for taking too long to achieve it. The 17-year-old boy seemed to carry the burden of saving the world on his shoulders, even after multiple assassination attempts aimed at forcing him to back down. We all knew how many times he had been targeted over the years. Looking ahead. When pressed on what comes next, Newgate hesitated, then admitted, "I've decided to just go with the flow for now. I don't really have any plans. Many people hope I'll cure cancer or another disease next. I am doing research on it, but even with the AIDS cure, it took over 2 years before I had a breakthrough. I've only just started, so it'll take time. For the millions already living longer, healthier lives because of him, time is something Newgate has given back in abundance. Whether his next great discovery arrives in 2 years or 20, the world will wait and watch for what Sir Edward Newgate does next." The reception for his party would be held at XX Hotel in London after the knighting ceremony. End article. Why did he leak the address for the party? Maggie asked as she read the same article. I don't know. But I'm not liking this. I sighed, then continued to read the other articles in the paper. Oh, there's a Ricky Gervais show. Want to go there with Amy? Maggie replied. Sure. We went to see the show that evening. The Dunphys, Mitch and Cam, and also Gloria and Jay were busy sightseeing, so they missed the show even though I had invited them. Thankfully, there's another one tomorrow, and we could go after my knighthood ceremony. By the time we returned home, Pepper was at the house, beaming as he sipped his tea. Edward, wonderful news. I can keep the budget down to about 25,000, he said. Huh. Well, that's great, I said noncommittally. Maggie walked to Pepper and said pitifully, It's okay, Pepper. I know you've done your best. I tried my best. Pepper snarked before adding, I picked up phone calls all day from people who wanted to sponsor the party. What? I grimaced. Pepper grinned. The article made a lot of people call the hotel, and they wanted to contribute. You can't even reject it. There are royal families in the mix. Wait, royal families? Amy was astonished. Yes. Royal families all over Europe. Even the king whose princess lost her virginity to Edward is trying to sponsor the event. You did what? Amy and Maggie turned toward me in shock. I looked at Pepper with a deadpan expression. Do you really have to mention that? Sorry. I forgot about the NDA for a second. Pepper waved it off and added nervously, You girls didn't hear anything, okay. Alex called me later that night and fumed. Hot assistant? Are you referring to me? Do you want to die? Everyone knows I'm your assistant, now my Instagram page is blowing up. I cackled at Alex's misery. That day, my dad and I went to see my new football club, Newcastle football team at their stadium. My dad pursed his lips and said, I think American football is better. Well, 5 billion people will disagree with you, I said teasingly. I only did a short meet and greet with the managers and the players for now. They understood the reason why as they too knew about the knighthood ceremony. Many of them were elated to see I became the owner of the football club, mostly the managers, coaches and the workers, but some players had a reluctant look on their faces. When I told them about my hands-off policy, they reacted slightly better to the news. The knighthood ceremony began. I walked forward on the crimson carpet and knelt before the Queen of England in the ballroom of Buckingham Palace. The master of the household stood nearby, reading aloud the formal citation of my achievements. When the words faded, the Queen, dressed in a pale blue gown with her diamond brooch glinting in the light, lifted the ceremonial sword. The cold steel tapped my right shoulder, then my left. In recognition of your distinguished service, she said in her gentle but commanding voice, we are pleased to admit you as an honorary knight of the most excellent order of the British Empire. Arise, Sir Edward. The entire area around Buckingham Palace was crowded with onlookers, as people pressed against the gates to catch a glimpse. Like every royal occasion, it had a gravity that drew the world's eyes. Polite applause filled the room, reserved, measured, in the dignified way such ceremonies demanded. My old lady killer aura was in full swing, and I could swear the Queen's smile lingered a little longer when she met my gaze. The affectionate, kind, warm smile that a grandmother usually has when they look at their grandchildren. "Do join us for tea next month at the palace," she added quietly as we shook hands. An invitation not given lightly. Somewhere in the crowd, my grandmother clutched her pearls, her face radiant. She had finally met the Queen, fulfilling the dream of her lifetime. The ceremony ended with a short procession into the palace reception room. There was a brief gathering there before my actual party. This was when my grandmother actually managed to speak with the Queen. "My goodness, Sir Edward. You're my knight in shining armor," Alex said sarcastically, clasping her hands on her shoulder and tilting her head against them. "Sure, Alex, are you crazy?" Claire immediately stopped her from mocking me, especially with the royal family looking in our direction. All three of us smiled politely as they walked away from the center of the party. "Alex, you almost got yourself arrested," I said seriously, though I was teasing inwardly. Alex's face went pale. "I'm just joking. Besides, my words were fine," Claire interjected. "But the tone wasn't. Everyone could sense the sarcasm. It was practically dripping out of your mouth." I chuckled while Alex grumbled. "Don't worry. This stuffy party won't last long. You can continue whatever you were going to say later at the hotel." I patted her head reassuringly. Alex froze, eyes wide, while Claire was stunned by the charged glances between us. Claire's commentary. "Wait, what? Is this a thing now? How long has this been going on?" she gasped. "Is this how he broke up with his girlfriend?" Commentary ended. I picked a stray thread from Alex's hair and showed it to her. She rolled her eyes, and Claire finally relaxed. "By the way, Ed, your ex isn't coming to the party?" Claire asked, changing the subject. My smile faded instantly, and I sighed. "Yeah. She's not coming. I even threatened to sleep with her younger sister if she didn't, but it was useless." "Maybe it's because you said you were going to sleep with her sister," Alex replied, giving me a look of disbelief. "Don't go after your ex's sisters. It's unseemly." She warned me, maybe warning herself too. I had called Vanessa yesterday, but she said she had a recording session. She was working hard on her own song, and since she knew this event wasn't really important to me, she opted to stay in LA. Also, Maggie had told her about the plane that would take her to orbit, so she definitely didn't want to come to London right now. We finally moved to the hotel for the party. The crowd applauded as I entered the ballroom with my family, showering me with flower petals. I grimaced at the sight, slightly uncomfortable. I couldn't wait for the day to be over so I could actually do something meaningful. "So, how does it feel to become a knight?" Amelia Clark asked as she came to the party. I had been talking with Elton John, and she approached after he left. "Honestly, it doesn't feel any different. Maybe because my country has no monarchy, getting a knighthood didn't feel that special. Maybe if I got a duke title then I might feel something," I joked. Amelia gasped and said playfully, "Jumping straight to duke? Wow. You know that means you have to marry a royal family member?" "Well, the prince kept shooting me looks earlier," I joked back, making Amelia burst into laughter. Emma Watson suddenly approached, and Amelia's laughter faded. Emma smiled politely before saying, "I'm sorry to do this, but can I steal him for a bit? I need to talk to him in private." "No, not at all. We were just joking around," Amelia said, waving it off. I frowned. "Shouldn't you ask me instead of her? Edward, be nice. You're a knight now. You have to be a gentleman to a lady, it's in your code of chivalry," Amelia teased. I widened my eyes. "Wait. Really? I didn't read that before I took the title. That's entrapment, right?" She just laughed and walked away after nodding politely to Emma. My smile vanished as I looked at Emma, who wore a tight-fitting black dress with a high slit. Well, you should already know what I want to talk about, so let's make this quick, Emma said, trying to sound confident. You never called me after that day. Did I ever call you the day before that? I said with a disdainful smirk. Emma hesitated but pressed on. I told you I like you. You could at least have called. I've been anxious these past few days, waiting. I sighed and nodded. You're right. I was rude. I should have called you right away back then. Her face lit with expectation. You were going to call? Yeah. I was going to tell you I don't share the same feeling. Her expression froze. What? I don't like you, I said plainly. But you're single, she muttered, confused. So what if I'm single? That doesn't mean I'll make just anyone my girlfriend. Just anyone? Emma was flabbergasted. I left her to process it. She gasped, cheeks flushing red in embarrassment. A waitress approached. Champagne for the lady? Thank you. She grabbed 2 of the glasses, and before the waitress could leave, she told her. Wait. She downed 2 cups of champagne quickly and took another 2 from the tray. It seemed that she wanted to have something to drink to forget. Suddenly, the lights dimmed, and sounds came from the simple stage located at the end of the party. Hello, everyone. It's me, Elton John. The musician greeted the crowd into the microphone, sending a ripple of cheers through the room. I was meant to sing at this party. Proper job, booked and all that. But, let's be honest, the man of the hour here likes to splash the cash. He grinned and continued. I've been following his career from the very start, actually. First time I saw this kid on telly, I thought, that one's going to be massive. And here we are. Applause broke out again. It's incredible what he's done in just 3 years. You know, Edward, when you got kidnapped the first time, I nearly keeled over. Second time? Nearly did it again. Third time, well, let's not have a third, darling. My heart's only got so many lives left. Everyone burst out laughing. Elton chuckled along with them. He told the crowd he was still going to perform as a special way of celebrating my achievement, not the knighthood, but curing HIV. He prepared a medley and waved me up onto the stage. Be honest, you do know my songs, don't you? Because if you don't, I'm going to look like a complete prat. Elton teased. We had already run through the set list during a quick chat earlier. The plan was, he'd sing his songs first, I'd come in for the second verse, and he'd return the favor on my tracks. I'm still standing, Elton John. As the intro was played, Elton became quite emotional and said, You know, Edward? Whenever I saw the news that you were assassinated and still survive, these songs kept ringing in my mind. I corrected him. Attempted assassination. Everyone laughed, even him. Elton sang the first verse.
You can never know what it's like. Your blood like winter freezes just like ice. And there's a cold and lonely light that shines from you. You wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use.
Phil commented. Oh my God! This song really suits Edward? Claire couldn't close her mouth. I've never made the connection before. I really do.
And did you think this fool could never win? Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way. And if you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away.
Emma kept downing her champagne, looking at me with furious eyes.
Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. And I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing.
I picked up an electric guitar. Edward, you're up, Elton John said excitedly. I walked to the standing microphone next to me and played the guitar while singing.
Once I never could have hoped to win. You're starting down the road and leaving me again. The threats you made were meant to cut me down. And if my love was just a circus, you'd be a clown by now.
Emma gasped, offended. He looked right at me when he said clown, didn't he? Daniel Radcliffe, who came with her, looked at her worriedly and said, Don't you think you have had enough to drink? Bugger off. Emma cursed.
No, I'm still standing better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind.
My dad slightly tapped his fingers to the song, and then he noticed Frankie was standing real still. He tapped her shoulder and asked, Frankie, is something wrong? No. It's just that survivor line. Suddenly, Frankie's chin quivered and she broke into tears. I just think it's really sad. She sobbed. My dad was startled to see her reaction. Gloria, who was nearby, told my dad, Pregnancy hormones. It will make a woman go crazy.
I'm still standing.
I strummed the guitar solo, which made a lot of the girls swoon. Elton and I sang together for the last part.
I'm still standing better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. I'm still standing better all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing. I'm still standing. I'm still standing. I'm still standing. I'm still standing.
A thunderous cheer shook the ballroom. We proceeded to sing Rocketman, and 7 years afterward. When the final chord rang out, the MC stepped forward with a bright smile. And now, he announced, we'd like to invite someone very special to say a few words on behalf of the United Nations. Without further ado, Miss Emma Watson. The crowd went silent, turning toward the far side of the room. That's when I spotted her, making her way up from the banquet tables, a half-finished glass of champagne in hand. Oh, this does not look good, I commented. I didn't know she would speak at the party today, otherwise I would have waited a bit longer before rejecting her. Emma wobbled slightly on her heels, her cheeks flushed red. She waved to the audience with a warm, slightly delayed smile, as though the gesture had to catch up with her body. Thank you, she said to no one in particular as she passed Elton, who gave her an amused eyebrow raise. Are you all right, darling? You look drunk, Elton asked with concern. Emma waved him off, saying, I'm okay. Elton sighed and then walked away. Halfway to the stage stairs, she stopped, glanced down at her drink, and, perhaps deciding it was in the way, knocked the rest back in one quick gulp. She handed the empty glass to a startled waiter without breaking stride, then climbed onto the stage with an exaggerated whoop that set a ripple of laughter through the crowd. She stepped up to the podium, blinking at the bright stage lights, and accepted the papers the MC had left for her. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, drawing out the words as she squinted at the text. We are gathered here tonight to celebrate a groundbreaking achievement in medical science. She paused, holding the paper closer to her face. Successful trials of an HIV cure, which will. Emma suddenly stopped mid-sentence. Her eyes flicked from the page to me in the crowd, narrowing dangerously. You know what? I can't read this. she declared, tossing the speech onto the podium. And I don't want to. Edward is a jerk. A real bloody jerk. The next word that came out of her mouth made the entire ballroom freeze. Somewhere in the front row, a duchess audibly gasped. One of the royal guards shifted in his seat. Cameras flashed like lightning. Oh God! Someone stop her! Daniel said hurriedly. Screw you, Newgate. I can be anyone's girlfriend. Fuck you! I burst out in laughter until my stomach hurts. Daniel quickly pulled Emma out of the podium and apologized to everyone. By morning, every tabloid from London to Los Angeles had the headline, Emma Watson drops F-bomb in front of royal family at UN event. Chapter 402, Get a Room, B.A. Edward POV. Do you think she'll be fine after this? Maggie asked with concern after Emma was dragged down from the stage. She will. She had a flawless persona before. This will actually humanize her, I replied with a chuckle. Although, my fans might attack her for it. I didn't have time to get entangled in celebrity drama right now, but the media wasn't going to let me off that easily. I can be anyone's girlfriend. The media latched onto Emma's words, guessing I was either mocking her or had rejected her before the speech. It gave Emma a way out too. If she said I was just making fun of her, it would look like harmless banter that spiraled because of an alcohol-laden mistake. If she didn't, she would have stained her own name. Since I was still a young boy and she had tried to make a move on me. Unless it was 2 months later when I finally turned 18, I doubted she'd risk the latter. That's really crazy, Amelia Clark said as I walked over to chat with her. Out of everyone at the party, even the royal family member, I found her the most interesting person there. I invited her to come watch a football game with me later in November. She said yes. We started packing up since we were heading back to LA tonight. I didn't want to linger here any longer. I had the Black Widow movie and the Daredevil TV series waiting, so much to do, so little time. I decided to direct the Black Widow movie myself because the director I found didn't feel confident in creating an action-packed movie. Chloe Zhang was still helping me with the characters, and I gave her a chance to direct a Netflix action movie for her to learn the go-to in action filmmaking. She was the one who dropped out. I didn't take the movie away from her. Less than 2 hours after leaving the party, we were already on the plane. My grandparents returned to Wisconsin, and the rest of us flew back to LA. My baby! I shouted as soon as I got home, scooping Vader into my arms. I rubbed my cheek against her face. She purred softly, clearly missing me. Don't be too hard on her. She's pregnant, you know? Max, the cat sitter I'd brought in from New York, cackled from the couch. Her fingers were orange from Cheetos, wrappers piled in her lap as she watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians. By the way, Edward, Kendall Jenner wants to meet you, she said. I ignored Max and asked Oracle. How long till Vader pops? 11 days. She's due on Halloween, Oracle replied. Hey! Max shouted. Are you ignoring Kendall because you're a knight now, and she's white trash? I finally turned to her. You're calling yourself Kendall now? Max almost laughed but stopped herself. I wish. Then I wouldn't have to work my ass off baking cupcakes all day. I just need to be trash on TV and get paid for it. By the way, did you come back alone? She asked, finally standing up. The wrappers spilled to the floor. I stared in disbelief. Did you ransack my whole place for snacks? Hey! You told me to help myself to whatever's in your kitchen. So I did. At that moment, a small rectangular cleaning robot with an emoticon face zipped into the living room. It beeped furiously as it vacuumed up Max's mess, its screen flashing a glaring, sad face. Then it spun around, wagging its little claws at Max like a scolding finger, before rolling away. That robot's got an attitude, Max muttered, pointing at it. Don't bother, T-Bot. Are you staying till Halloween, or going back to New York? I asked. She sighed. I wish I could stay, but Caroline's already bitching about how much she misses me. So I have to go back. Make sure to come here again on Halloween, I told her. Max groaned. Did you advance travel just so you could guilt trip me like this? I grinned. Yup. Exactly that. It only took an hour to fly from LA to New York with my new ship, so she had no excuse not to come anymore. I grabbed a drink with your ex-girlfriend. You might want to call her, Max said casually while packing her stuff into a black trash bag. She even tried to nab T-Bot, but he zipped away and ducked behind my leg, his screen flashing. Really? Okay, I replied. And when are you going to sell that robot to the market? Business is good, but cleaning is a pain. I want that one in my place. She pointed at T-Bot, who peeked from behind me and flashed a smug tongue sticking out. I'll send you a custom one later. I'll probably release it to the market after Halloween. It's pricey, so I doubt we'll sell a lot. It was like a self-cleaning Roomba, but this one had advanced AI. It could clean the couch, the carpet, the tightest corners, load the dishwasher, pick up dirty laundry, and even iron clothes. Basically, an in-house made for anyone too lazy to clean. I'd come up with the idea by referencing Herbie from the Fantastic Four comics. The only problem, it was expensive. Each unit would cost $15,000, with $500 annually for maintenance and spare parts. I'm making phones and robots. I feel like that evil corporation in Mitchell's vs. the Machines, I muttered, patting T-Bot on the head. He beeped happily and flashed a laughing face. Let's build up momentum first, I said, pulling out my phone. I recorded a few clips of T-Bot zipping around the house doing chores, then edited them into a fake movie trailer. After posting it on Instagram with the caption, "Would you want this in your house?" more than 30 million people voted in the poll within 2 hours. I went to shower, and by the time I came back, my phone was blowing up with notifications. The majority of the people in the world wanted the robot. Over 29 million voted yes. I guess I should start up the production now. I muttered and sent the orders to my workers. We would start with 5 million units, and increase production if there was a large demand for it. A few days had passed since the knighthood ceremony. There was still a week left until Halloween. Inside the Canvas studio, Scarlett Johansson, Alan Ritchson, and Jeremy Renner were playing around with the special effects while I was testing out their coordination. Alan Ritchson was handpicked by me to become Taskmaster in the current MCU timeline. Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye would cameo in the movie, though he didn't have any major plotlines. Since this movie would finally show Budapest, the mission that had been teased since the first Avengers movie, there were already fans buzzing with excitement when the announcement to start filming dropped. The costumes in this film were taken up a notch. They looked gritty, realistic, and battle-tested. Natasha herself would receive an upgrade, an energy rifle in the third act, which she would use to mow down mercenaries armed with stolen Chitauri weapons. The actors needed time to prepare for their roles. Alan Ritchson was reading through dozens of comic arcs featuring Taskmaster, trying to capture the essence of the character. After pre-production wrapped up for the day, Scarlett came to me in her Black Widow outfit with glowing red neon accents, a design that reminded me of the one I had seen in the Marvel Rivals game from a memory I carried. Even her hair was styled the same as the game's version of Natasha. "Hey, I heard a rumor that your script got rejected?" Scarlett asked, concern flickering in her eyes. Was it the script for this movie? I looked at her with disbelief. How did you even know about that? So it's true? She sighed. Well, in a sort of way. It's not the script for this movie, though. That one was already greenlit by Feige and Disney. They said, and I quote, it was enough for the script to be made by Edward Newgate. The other script, the one I have no idea how people caught wind of, was a fantasy epic. Oh. Scarlett's interest sharpened. Who did you pitch it to? And who rejected it? I sighed. Honestly, I wrote it to have fun with my girlfriend at the time. We were going to play it out in the Canvas studio together. But then we broke up. Scarlett's eyes widened. You still gave her the script after you guys broke up? Kinda. I wrote the screenplay for her. She told me I should do it with a new actress. But if she didn't want to, then I didn't want either. That was why Vanessa had asked me to call her after I got back from London. My studio, Universal Entertainment, the merger of Universal Pictures and Entertain Studio, didn't really have a defining franchise of our own. We had Fast and Furious, sure, but somewhere along the way it had stopped being about cars. There were also early talks about launching a dark universe, with mummies and other monsters, but I scrapped that idea before it could sink resources. Disney had the MCU. Fox had the X-Men. WB had DC. HBO had Game of Thrones. Paramount had Transformers. Sony had Spider-Man. I needed something to headline my studio for the next decade. That's when I created something new. But the more I worked on it, the more I realized it didn't have to be a big idea. I could start small, and then it could evolve into something bigger through the years. A shared universe where urban life mixed with psychic powers. A modern Esper saga, where powers didn't come from gods or alien tech but from human genes and experiments. With Canvas Studio, I had eliminated the VFX problem, so the studio could experiment with several genres all at once. The first movie would be about espers. The second movie would be about being spirited away into a fantasy world, something that was popular in the female main character mama setting. The third movie was about superheroes. The franchises could start out slow, and then we could expand later on after seeing the audience's reactions. Still, it wasn't an urgent concern since we still had a lot of original scripts in production right now. Suddenly, Annie Addison, my personal assistant, whom I had hired after going through a painstaking process, rushed toward me with a tablet in her hand. "DEFCON 1! DEFCON 1! She shouted as she interjected the conversation rudely, body slamming Scarlett slightly out of the way. Scarlett widened her eyes, looking at Annie in disbelief. "DEFCON 1? I was slightly alarmed. Potentially catastrophic event? Wait. Edward, did you get cancelled?" Scarlett listened in and also tried to peek at the tablet screen. I checked the footage with Scarlett and Annie. It was a clip from the Graham Norton Show, a British comedy talk show. Emma Watson was among the guests, and Graham asked her about the incident. "So when you said I can be anyone's girlfriend, does that come out after you get rejected by him, or?" Emma looked exasperated and flustered as she was given the question, acting as if she hadn't come there to talk about that in the first place. Her co-star, Daniel Radcliffe, tried to intervene, saying, "I'm pretty sure she doesn't even remember she said that." He looked at her nervously, begging inwardly for her not to create any trouble. However, Emma finally spoke. "I did remember it a little bit. I told that bastard Newgate I like him. He said he hates me." The crowd gasped. Graham chuckled slightly and leaned forward, interested in the conversation. "He said that to your face?" "Yeah. He kinda did," Emma added. "I was so depressed that I started drinking, I forgot I was going to give the speech that night. And then you cursed in front of the royal family," Graham joked, which made the studio audience laugh. "Is that it?" "That doesn't seem too bad," I said as I looked up at Annie. Annie sighed and said, "It's not finished yet." Graham asked teasingly, "So, why does he hate you so much? Do you have any idea?" "I don't know. I guess he just doesn't like women," Emma replied crassly. Everyone laughed, but Daniel awkwardly lowered his head in disappointment. "Who, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned," Scarlett commented, looking at me playfully. "She's not thinking rationally at all." The talk show wasn't done yet. Graham asked Emma how I acted behind the scenes, and she embellished some of the stories to paint me in a bad light. "It's fine. This is fine," I replied casually, giving the tablet back to Annie. Annie was shocked. "What? Are you not going to do anything? Not even sue her for defamation?" "No," I chuckled slightly. "If anything, Emma made it seem like she was homophobic, so it's DEFCON 1 for her, not me." And since she admitted to being rejected at the start, No one is really going to believe her stories now. Why? Scarlett asked, curious. I replied, if she had said something before she got rejected, then it might be taken seriously. But afterward, most people will realize why she was doing this. What if she did something worse? Annie asked, greatly worried. I shrugged and said, then we'll see each other in court, I guess. Hopefully, it won't come to that. While Emma's clip was spiraling out of control, I went to the Dunphys' house to see their Halloween preparations. As Claire and Phil were hanging cobwebs, Alex walked to the living room with her phone, reading out loud the tweets from Emma. He once said I wasn't serious enough for acting. That hurt a little. Guess he was right, though. I'm just Hermione forever. Alex looked at me with disdain and asked, did you belittle her while you were filming? Wow, she's continuing this on Twitter, huh? I said she sucks at the role she's playing in. She's twisting it to make it sound like I was belittling her entire career. I looked at Alex with amazement washed over my face. Are you not worried? Not worried at all about the backlash? Alex asked, concerned on my behalf. I smirked and said, no. Not at all. Because I know a lot of people will have my back. I wasn't just bragging. Taylor, Selena, Vanessa, Scarlett, Emma Stone, and a lot more actresses replied to Emma's tweet, carefully advising her against being petty after being rejected. They couldn't outright scold Emma online, so they were being subtle about it. Emma finally shut up after a while, and then she gave her PR-approved apology later on. I guess it was something her agency made her do. I didn't even react to the entire situation, which made tabloids come out with articles speculating that I didn't even care about Emma's words. Like I said, she was being attacked from every side because of her antics. My fans were outraged by her remarks, and some even wanted to sue her for defamation on my behalf. Anyway, what are you guys doing for Halloween this year? I asked the family instead of focusing on the issue. Before Claire could answer, my phone rang. It was Harvey. Claire inhaled slightly and said, you better answer that first. Okay then. I replied and then walked away from the living room to pick up the call. Edward. Something troublesome came up, Harvey said instantly after I greeted her. What's going on? I asked. It's Miss Watson. Her agency contacted our company and asked if it was possible for you guys to get together and bury the hatchet in public. I guess they want us to be seen together to mitigate the PR disaster Emma just caused, huh? I pinched the bridge of my nose in frustration. If we don't do it, it's fine for us. She's the one who's on the verge of getting cancelled. Even her contract with Disney for the Beauty and the Beast movie is getting impacted. She might lose the role. I sighed and said, is this what she wants, or what her agents want? I could help her, but I'm not going to if she keeps being like this. Harvey chuckled and said, I guess it's not your responsibility. I'll send the message along and ask her to issue a retraction for the things that she said. I'll call you when it's done. Thanks, Harvey. Harvey didn't waste time and began to go to work. I returned to Claire and Phil, who excitedly announced their Halloween theme this year. It's going to be scary. It's going to be bigger than last year. Claire flailed her arm around. Phil added with a grin. And last year, we had a grown man fainting at the sight of Claire's costume. Alex interjected. Didn't that man try to sue you guys? He had no case. Moving on. Claire added abruptly. This year's Halloween, we're going to decorate the house as a mental asylum. The doorbell suddenly rang, interrupting Claire's announcement. Is that Luke? Phil said before gleefully walking to open the door. However, what greeted him was his neighbor. Oh, hi Mark. Phil greeted the tall, fat man. I chuckled, and Alex narrowed her eyes at me with disbelief. Really? That level of joke sets you off? Phil. I'm sorry to do this. But here. He gave a paper to Phil and Claire with a reluctant face. What's this? A petition? Claire snatched it from Phil and began reading it with irritation. Keep the Halloween decoration family friendly, she roared. The petition was created because of the incident that occurred last year. Phil added on. Both of them were pretty ticked off by the petition, and the neighbor left the house in a hurry after saying, "Sorry, you guys. It's unanimous. We're banning you from doing this over-the-top Halloween horror freak show this year. Hey! You're only doing this because we won every single year!" Claire shouted out the door. Both of them turned back towards Alex and me, looking speechless. "Wow. So, what's the plan this year?" I asked, which was met with an eye roll from Claire. I turned to Alex and asked, "By the way, why are you here again? Should I come with you to your college and help you make friends? I don't have any classes today." Alex scoffed in annoyance. Chapter 403, Horror Show. General POV. Arg! A tall, middle-aged man shoved everything off his laboratory table, causing the beakers and other apparatus to fall off. The glass shattered, the acid sizzled. "Everywhere I go! It's Newgate, Newgate, Newgate!" he shouted, throwing a Bunsen burner at his TV, causing an explosion. I worked on the cure for decades. He came along and ruined everything for me, he shouted maniacally. He picked up an art piece from his wall and threw it onto the fire, his hatred seemingly growing larger by the second. "He has a lot of money! He bought those awards! What Nobel? What knighthood? What UN Peace Award? He fucking bought all of those! Fuck you, Newgate!" As he kicked and threw almost everything in his lab, he stood in front of the fire, huffing heavily. Suddenly he grinned. "I guess, since you're so smart, and want to be the hero so much, you're going to need a villain too." He walked to the fridge containing samples of the viruses he was studying. Picking a few vials carefully, he placed them inside a briefcase and left the fiery room after adorning a trench coat and a fedora. He cackled and said, "Wait for me, Newgate. I'm going to show you what happens when you take away something that belongs to me." Edward POV. I yawned and stretched my arms as I walked to the kitchen after waking up this morning. It was a beautiful day. My cat was chasing butterflies in the garden, my coffee was at the perfect temperature, and the sun wasn't too harsh, making it pleasant to sit by the pool. For the first time in a long while, I was alone in the huge mansion. It felt quite lonely. My mother and aunt had gone back to Cuba, with my aunt showing her around the country in hopes of helping her regain her memory. I wanted to join them, but my aunt insisted I stay behind. Linda, the psychiatrist who had been helping me before, was also working with my mother now, and she said I shouldn't go. My mother had developed a codependency on me, and giving her space to explore on her own was the best way, Linda believed, to help her psyche. "Vader! Come on! We're going to the Dunphys' house," I called to my cat. She waddled toward me with her bloated, pregnant belly. I had checked her recently and found she was carrying 6 kittens. I already planned to name them after villains: Megatron, Syndrome, Mary Jane, Joker, Walter White, and lastly, Munchkin. When I arrived, I noticed a huge cardboard lollipop decorating the Dunphys' front yard, Claire's handiwork, adding her sweet touch to the house. On the way, I'd also driven past my old home, where my dad and Frankie were living, and saw they hadn't decorated at all. "I should swing by later and help them out," I muttered. I knocked on the Dunphys' door, but no one answered. Instead, I heard raised voices from inside, not their usual playful bickering, but a real argument. Luke finally opened the door and waved me in. "What's going on?" I whispered. "Haley dropped out of college," Luke replied flatly. "What?" I was stunned. Phil was chasing after Haley as she stormed toward the door. "Honey! Think about this clearly. Your business is thriving now, but who knows how long that'll last. Dropping out after just a year to focus only on your clothing line isn't a great idea." "No. You don't understand," Haley shot back. "I'm not learning anything in college. Why should I waste my time drinking and partying when I could actually be doing something meaningful?" She turned sharply, arguing as she stormed off toward the basement apartment she was living in, but froze when she spotted me. "Oh, Edward. When did you get here?" Phil asked with an awkward smile. Luke answered for me. "He knocked for like 5 minutes. I had to pause my game and open the door because everyone here's too busy yelling." He stomped upstairs, clearly annoyed. I set Vader down, and she immediately sprawled on the sofa, already exhausted. Haley seized the moment and rushed toward me. "Edward, you get it, right? I mean, you never went to college." "I could still go." "I mean, I wouldn't, but technically I could," I said, avoiding taking sides since this was a family matter. Alex came downstairs with her laptop still open, and I gave her a look of disbelief. "Your course has a Halloween party every year. Why are you home again?" "I can still go. It's only a 30-minute ride, and the party's tomorrow," she said defensively, running away from my judgy look. Claire huffed, emerging from the kitchen. "Phil, did we make our house too comfortable? Our kids just keep coming back no matter what we're doing. I mean, you can't be mad at that." "That just shows how good of a mom you are," I said, which made Claire blink in surprise. "Wait, when did you get here?" she asked. I threw my hands up. Anywhere else, people worship the ground I walk on. But here? I can't even get a proper hello. Haley and Alex laughed, while Claire, embarrassed, brushed it off and pivoted back to the argument. "Great, Edward. Perfect timing. I forgot I actually invited you this morning, so this works out. You can talk some sense into Haley." "Tell her dropping out is a terrible idea." Haley gasped, offended. "I'm not changing my mind. If you want me to get a degree, I'll just take Edward's online college courses. I'd still get one." "Really?" Phil asked, his resistance softening. Claire, however, was unmoved. Online colleges aren't the same as real colleges. Besides, her tone shifted sharply, from reasoning to ultimatum. "You're not dropping out. And if you do, you're not moving back into this house." "Fine. I'll find another place. I could even buy a house right now. Dad saw my business account. He knows I can afford a place bigger than this." Haley snapped. "We were even checking out listings a few days ago," she added. Claire turned on Phil with a piercing look. He fumbled nervously. I didn't know she was thinking of dropping out at the time. I just said, since she's making money and mortgage rates are at an all-time low, it'd be smart to invest in property." "Phil. She's 19 years old." Claire scolded. "She has no idea how difficult it is to maintain a house, let alone deal with mortgage payments every month. What kind of realtor ropes a young kid into this?" "Claire, you can insult my mistakes as a dad, but don't try to insult my work ethic as a realtor." Phil defended himself. I turned to Haley, standing at her side, and asked, "So you didn't tell them yet?" "I can't do that when they're like this," Haley said with a sigh. "Tell us what?" Claire caught our conversation and asked hurriedly. "Haley." I nudged her forward to face them. She was taken aback, gave me a short glare, then bashfully admitted, "Well, you know we have contracts with H&M for the stores in California. They decided to expand distribution, so we signed another contract, a bigger one." As Claire and Phil stood stunned, she shyly added, "Also, they bought 40% of the company, so I'm going to become even richer than Grandpa next year." "What?" Phil was elated. "Honey, that's incredible news." He hugged her tightly, beaming with pride. Claire froze, staring at Haley in disbelief. Then she glanced at me, which left me wondering why she was looking at me. Claire and Phil commentary. "We always knew Edward was helping Haley with the company," Claire said with an anxious smile. "From the starting loans, the factory, the distribution. Edward loaned it all to Haley. He trusted her completely," Phil added. Claire whispered under her breath, "My dad invested in her too. Only we didn't fully trust her. Anyway, in only 2 years she managed to pay the loans back and even sold the stake in her company? That's incredible," Phil continued, ignoring Claire's little comment. But we also need to acknowledge the Edward factor, Claire said firmly. He kept posing for her designs, brought her magazine exposure, and helped her with the strategic approach in marketing the clothing line. Without Edward, she might have needed longer to do it. Not that I'm saying she's not capable on her own, but there's the Edward factor that really helped her. Phil nodded in agreement. Yeah. The Edward factor is real. I sold more houses because of the Edward factor too. Commentary ended. So, how much money did you actually make? Alex asked after Claire and Phil finally left her alone, and we all sat in the den together. Haley grinned. After paying all the loans, around $8 million? Not including the stocks she exchanged the money to. H&M bought the 40% stakes for $40 million, which meant that her clothing line was valued at $100 million. Haley paid off $15 million loans for the factory, gave her workers bonuses, then she exchanged the rest for stocks in my tech company, leaving her only $8 million for her to enjoy. That's still outstanding. I patted Haley's head with a proud smile. She grinned and accepted the pats gleefully. Alex looked at me in disbelief, just staring for a few seconds. I finally turned to her and asked, "What? You know that's really inspirational for someone like her." "Hey," Haley cut in. "I'm not sure what you mean by someone like her, so I'm going to be offended first before you explain." Alex sighed. "A slut with some creative talent and great luck, who at one time managed to screw the main character of the world right now." What? Haley was flabbergasted. She didn't care about the slut comment, but she was bashful that Alex brought up the fact that we had done it before. "That's too much, Alex," I said flatly, mistaking Haley's reaction. Sorry. I was joking, but it didn't come out right," she apologized. Haley sighed, then giggled. "Well, you're mostly not wrong. Anyway, my point is, someone like her becoming a multimillionaire is already a miracle. Then there's you." Alex pointed at my face. "You basically ignore every rule in the book and climb up to become one of the top 10 richest men in the world in under 3 years. Tell me the truth, are you really not a time traveler?" I shrugged. "Don't be jealous, Alex." "I am not jealous. I'm curious. There's a difference," Alex stammered. "I think she's jealous. She can't do something like this," Haley teased. Alex took that as a challenge and then picked up her laptop before showing the screen to me. "What's this?" I asked, leaning closer. She grinned. "A non-invasive glucose monitor. No needles, no strips, just wear it, and it gives real-time readings." I raised an eyebrow and then began reading the research on her laptop. "You have a breakthrough?" I smiled proudly. "Yup." Alex grinned, tapping the screen. "Most prototypes are unreliable. I've refined a hybrid optical sensor system that could actually work. It's not a cure, but it makes monitoring effortless." Haley whistled. "Why would people pay to track something they don't even need fixed anymore?" Since I had released the diabetes treatment, Haley didn't see the patent as valuable. Alex shrugged. "Even with cures, monitoring health is valuable. Think athletes, diet-conscious users, or people at risk for diabetes. It's a niche market, but a profitable and achievable one." I leaned back, thoughtful. "I like it. Smart, realistic, and you've clearly done your homework. I'll take it." Alex's grin widened. "I knew you'd get it. Wait, what do you mean you'll take it?" She became confused. "I mean, I'm buying the patent from you. I have a pharma company, you remember that, right? This is a pitch, is it not?" No, it's not a pitch. I'm just showing it to you." Alex tried to argue, but I interjected. $20 million for the patent. Then, you can get 10% royalties of every product sold." Alex's jaw dropped. Haley stood up and shouted urgently. "MOM. Dad! Come here quick!" "Oh wait, you didn't research this at Caltech, right? Use their resources?" I asked. Alex was still stunned, then she slowly recovered her mind and said, I'm not stupid. I studied this in your lab. Okay. So they have no claims in it. That's good, I replied with a smirk. What happened? Phil hurriedly ran towards the den with Claire following him from behind. Is anyone hurt? Claire asked. My feelings are hurt. I worked for 2 years, only sleeping for 8 hours a day when I needed 10 hours. Yet, Alex just doodles something on her laptop and Edward is going to make her richer than me. What? Claire was confused. Phil was excited. Alex, I didn't know you had a clothing line too. And oh, not that. Alex interjected with disbelief. I designed a glucose monitor. Edward wants to buy those. That is it. I'm not even sure I'm going to sell it to him yet. I faked sadness and said, So you'd rather sell it to exploitative big pharma that oppresses their consumers rather than my highly ethical company, which just wants to help people, all to get more money for the patent. Don't twist my words. Alex was baffled by my guilt trip. Alex, Phil said admonishingly. No! Dad, I'm not trying to get more money out of this. Ugh! Fine. I'll sell it. Claire hurriedly interjected. Edward, stop and think first. Maybe discuss it with your company. 20 million is a lot of money, you know? And Alex is still young. Alex turned to her mother. Mom, are you sure you're concerned about my age, or are you afraid I'm going to slip away from your control if I have money on my own, like Haley did? Haley gasped and turned to her mother accusingly. That's why you can't be proud of me? Honey, I'm so proud of you. Who says I'm not proud of you? Claire immediately hugged and placated Haley. I'm just voicing concerns as the VP of the company, she added. Claire's commentary. Maybe a little about control. Now that they're branching out on their own, I like it when they ask me for allowances. It makes them pick up the call, which in turn lets me ask them what they're doing, how their lives are going, and anything else I want to know. Otherwise, it would be hard to get even a snippet of what they're doing. I guess I'm just trying to prolong the inevitable. My kids are growing up, so we have to adapt the way we communicate with each other. Commentary ends. I can do that right now, I said, picking up the call and dialing Robin. She answered on the first ring. Robin. Non-invasive glucose monitor patent. How much should we pay for it? I asked directly. Claire and Alex were astonished. Robin replied, 18 to 25 million, depending on the percentage of the royalty. Are you selling it? No. Alex is the one who had that breakthrough, I said proudly. Robin was silent for a while, then said, I always knew Alex has greatness in her. Alex beamed and blushed as she heard the compliment from Robin, the female feminist icon, CEO of my phone company. Thank you, Miss Robin, Alex chimed. Oh, Alex. Are you listening too? We can get you the money next week. However, I suggest waiting until the tax reform, otherwise you will face double taxation and lose more than 50% of your patent money. Just like your sister, make sure to finalize every sale next year. Alex nodded seriously. Sure. I can do that. After discussing the patent, Luke, Haley, Alex, and I went to my dad's place to decorate the house for Halloween. Mom was banned from doing the extreme horror house, so she wants us to use her plans. Haley said, giving Claire's sketches to me. I guess we can follow her idea since I haven't really started thinking about it yet. What does she want to do again? Horror mental asylum. Quite insensitive, I guess, since your mother. Alex stopped herself, realizing she might have crossed the line. Well, she is crazy, I finished for her. I'm going to go to my aunt's house and see what they're doing for Halloween. My Aunt May and Uncle Jim had moved to Abby's previous house in the same neighborhood since Uncle Jim got a job at my company. They were doing a normal carved pumpkin and scarecrow theme, similar to most people in the neighborhood. Only people like Claire cared so much about Halloween that they took months to plan out their House of Horror theme. Haley tested out the scary nurse outfit, and Alex wore the patient's gown. Is it weird that this is turning me on? I muttered as I saw Haley's short skirt and garter belt, and Alex's open-back patient's gown. Alex rolled her eyes. Yes. Which one? Who's turning you on more, me or Alex? Haley asked giddily. Haley. Alex admonished her. I mean both. Both are great. I chuckled. Haley joked. What, you're trying to hit on both of us now? Yup, I replied before Alex could speak, which made her flabbergasted. She stomped away. Haley giggled. Ah. Someone's mad because she doesn't have any experience. Shut it. Alex gritted her teeth at Haley. I laughed and continued decorating the house. In the living room, after we were done, Haley said, Edward. It's been a long time since I used the hot tub here. Want to relive the past and jump in together? Alex was stunned by Haley's direct approach. She pulled Haley away. What are you doing, hitting on him? Don't you remember how hard it is for you to move on from him? Haley giggled. Unfortunately, I never really moved on, so… I'm telling Mom! Alex threatened. The breaking news on the TV drew all of our attention. Breaking news: deadly virus outbreak in Atlanta. Health officials confirm a new, highly infectious virus, an evolved strain of Zika, with a gestation period of 14 days and a 99% fatality rate. What? Alex turned pale. Authorities are urging immediate nationwide quarantine. International spread confirmed in Europe, China, and India. The president has officially cancelled Halloween festivities and ordered all citizens to remain indoors. We all froze, staring at the screen, the cheerful Halloween plans instantly overshadowed by the deadly warning. Ring, ring, ring. I picked up the phone. On the other line, the President of the United States solemnly said, We need your help. Chapter 404, 2020. Edward POV. The news announcement shook my soul. Immediately after, the country's president called my personal phone number. Did you see the news? He asked, his tone still calm. What's going on? I asked quizzically. He sighed and said, I've been preparing for this, but I didn't think it would come so fast. What? I grimaced. Then I remembered in the setting of the future I uploaded into his mind, there was one part about a plague which killed half the world's population. He thought this was the start of it all. The US government structure is so complicated that I didn't realize the instrument of humanity's demise was built inside our own military base. He added solemnly, Edward, will you help us? We need a team that will study the cure to this thing. I will join in, but I need more explanations than this. Like what is going on? What's the situation? General Beckman will brief you about the situation when she arrives at your place with the sample. The president said before adding on, The public will need some hope in this dark time. Using your research capability, name, and fame as the immediate course of action to placate the masses will help the country tremendously. Do I have your permission for that? I have no objection if you mention me in passing rather than putting all of the pressure on my name. I might be able to carry some hope, but I might break if it's too much for me to bear. I replied after thinking about it. Got it. Travel will be limited soon. Since your lab is in your house, my suggestion is, don't bring people to your place. This thing is highly infectious and needs great amount of caution and care, otherwise you will be infected too, and may infect the others around you. I joked slightly to tease the tension. Again, I need more context to understand the whole situation, but I guess it's really a pressing matter, huh? Although you have taken Halloween, the holiday I love the most from me, I will still help you, but I'm going to do it spitefully. As I cut the call and turned around, I saw the pale faces of Haley, Luke, and Alex. You guys better go back to your place. I told them. I need to go home now since I have involved myself in something serious. Alex stepped in and said, I listened a bit. Hope, what hope? Did the president call you about what the news said? Do you need assistance in researching, whatever it is that's going to be sent to you now? Alex, you're getting sharper, I said proudly. And no, I mean, yes, but not in the way you are, physically, there. I might need some assistance with the data, so just keep your laptop with you. What if I stayed at your house, and I promise I won't go to the lab section? Alex asked. Alex, shouldn't you ask Mom and Dad first about this? Haley interjected, worried. Luke was the only one who found humor in this matter. Edward, is this a zombie apocalypse? Can I beat people up with a bat now? I rubbed his hair vigorously and laughed. Look, you can always beat people up with a bat. No, Alex interjected, not wanting me to give the wrong lesson to her brother. I'll go to your place on my own later, Alex said. You should go there first. I nodded and then left the house. I called my dad, Pepper, Frankie, Taylor, Ness, halted every tour and movie production, let people go home for now. Robin, bring Han to my place. We're going to need help with the research. I called as I returned to my place. I also called my mother and aunt in Cuba, asking them to go to Sado and return to the United States before international travel was banned. This reminds me of COVID, I muttered to myself. Except COVID has a lower death rate. Like I expected, there was a toilet paper shopping frenzy, with superstores running out of stock and even firearms being sold at an alarming rate as the quarantine news came out. Unlike COVID, where the stay-at-home orders were used to flatten the curve, this one was for their family's survival. The 2012 end-of-the-world prophecy was in full swing. There were already 10,000 deaths worldwide from the virus in just 2 days after it was released to the public. The patients would have blistering pus all over their bodies, lose consciousness, and begin sleepwalking before falling to their deaths, just like zombies. General Beckman and a team of military researchers were waiting for me in my driveway with the information docket and the virus sample. We need to talk somewhere private. This information is highly classified and, under normal circumstances, would never see the light of day. But now, we have to share it with everyone all over the world to ensure humanity will survive. The general was solemn, and so was everyone else. I casually said, "Do you want some tea?" "Yes," the general replied before snapping out of her dazed state and saying, "No. There isn't much time. I'll leave you with these researchers. They are the best researchers from our military. I'm going to stop you right there. It's fine. I have my own team. You guys should help with the quarantine instead," I interjected. I also didn't want people snooping around my stuff in case I needed to use advanced technology here. They looked disappointed and then left, as they had a lot of work to do, leaving only the general and me in the living room. General Beckman told me about the fallout between the president and the U.S. military, also giving me some confidential information about the virus. Extraterrestrial origin? I was shocked. My mind went blank for a bit. I almost missed the general's explanation. After World War II, research on a mass destruction biological weapon was conducted. They were shut down within a few years because of the moral implications, but it turned out the research was secretly continued in collaboration with a private company. Wait. My mind went 1,000 miles per hour. I know in my past life the government confirmed some UFO existence, but no one really cared about it. Which story is this canon from? Chuck? No, that's just an advanced technology spy flick. Although the one who created the virus could be someone from it. The Blacklist also dealt with viruses and plagues in their storylines. Modern Family? Brooklyn 99? Two Broke Girls? I kept racking my mind to see if I knew of something. Suddenly, I realized something. It's the Big Bang Theory. Pardon? The general was confused by my sudden declaration. Your sitcom? She stammered, looking at me with disbelief. Realizing that I had blurted it out loud, I waved it off and said, "Oh. Nothing. There was this episode in The Big Bang Theory where the guys were designing a message to send to outer space. Then, at the ending, there was a short comedy bit about a tentacle alien wanting to eat Sheldon Cooper, saying that he looked soft and delicious. So I guess aliens are canon in this universe?" I listened to the general's explanation, and there was also something about the gorge, where the site of the first biological weapon facility was located. I also learned some insider information about a spaceship that crashed in Area 51 decades ago. That was even before that place was called by that name. After the general left, I rubbed my face in frustration. Oracle, run a predictive algorithm, I muttered with a heavy tone. What's even going on right now? This isn't going to develop into a full-blown end-of-the-world issue, right? Sage? My guardian appeared out of nowhere, with Gong Shin, the afterlife supervisor, tagging along with her. Oh God. You're also here. And you both have really scary faces. My heart jumped a bit. So, all of us are going to die? I asked solemnly. Sage shook her head and said, the first cure will come out in 6 months. So we can develop a cure. How many people will? 4/5 of the world. It will take down 4/5 of the world, Gongshin added. Is this my butterfly effect? Did I have something to do with this? I asked, my hands trembling slightly. Sage shook her head and said, no. Even if you weren't here, it would still happen, since the guy who made this had his mind broken from isolation a decade ago. Who is he? I narrowed my eyes slightly. Gongshin sighed and said, I guess. He's you, from a different era. Excuse me? I was startled. Check his docket, Sage said. I opened the file and read it. Henry Hargrave. When he was 15, he designed the first compact phased array dish antenna that could send encrypted transmissions across continents. His prototype was decades ahead of its time, and it terrified the military because it meant no message, no matter how classified, could be intercepted. They kidnapped him, faked his death, and buried his name. His parents never knew the truth. He also built an early neural interface prototype, what you would call a brain-computer link. The military took it apart and re-engineered it for drone operations. Every UAV strike in the past 20 years has roots in his stolen research. This guy is pretty terrifying. Even the Intersect creation in Chuck had his shadow behind it. 30 years locked in a bunker, Sage said softly. No sunlight. No family. No freedom. Only equations and experiments. They kept him alive because he kept inventing energy storage systems, stealth composites, predictive algorithms, all classified, all erased from public knowledge. Gongshin added, all of his achievements were robbed from him, and that bred a deep resentment in his heart. I felt my throat tighten. And now, he's the one who made the virus? Yes, Gongshin replied. His mind broke after 3 decades of captivity. His parents also died. He turned his genius into vengeance. I watched the footage where he broke free of the military research facility. He started a fire, and when the staff opened the door to his lab to put it out, he shot them with a small blaster, which left gaping holes in their bodies. Is that alien tech too? I think I have a similar one in my arsenal, I muttered. The holographic screen flickered as the calculation were done, streams of numbers racing across it before settling into a projection. Week 1, 100,000 deaths. Week 2, 400,000 deaths. Week 3, 1.2 million deaths. Week 4, 3 million deaths. My hands trembled. The graph spiked upward like a mountain. Month 2, 40 million deaths. Month 3, 300 million deaths. Month 4, 1.2 billion deaths. Month 5, 3.7 billion deaths. Month 6, 6.2 billion deaths. I couldn't breathe. 4/5 of the world. Damn. Sage cursed. Seeing the numbers itself, this is quite frightening. I'm here. Can't the cure be created sooner? I asked. Gongshin replied. 2 months. You will be able to synthesize the cure in 2 months. That's still 40 million people. I muttered, my throat tight. COVID took the lives of 7 million people over the span of 2 years. This virus, it would kill more than 5 times that number in just 8 weeks. It wasn't a slow burn pandemic creeping across borders. It was a wildfire roaring through every city at once. Hospitals would collapse within days. Governments would dissolve under the weight of panic. The social order wouldn't erode gradually. It would shatter like glass. I clenched my fists. Suddenly, I received a call from my father. I picked it up quickly. "Edward, did you leave Vader behind at my place?" he asked. "Yeah. My house is going to be a no-go spot for everyone, and I'm afraid Vader will poke her nose into a dangerous situation," I replied. "I understand that. So I guess I should tell you the good news. She just gave birth to 5 healthy little kittens." "I'll send you pictures." "Really?" I brightened up before falling back into deep worry. Pinching the bridge of my nose, I said, "Don't go out right now. I'll send you supplies if you need them. Stay at home at all times." "Okay. I will," he replied. I cut the call and turned to Sage and Gong Shin again. "You're not going to come if you don't think there's something you can do about it. So, is there a way for us to fix this thing earlier?" Sage sighed and glanced at Gong Shin. "Well, there is this." Gong Shin reached into his inner suit pocket and took out a piece of paper before handing it to me. "Travel order?" I was confused when I read it. Gong Shin said, "Remember what Sage told you about the trip? The Afterlife Corp puts a lot of importance on the mental well-being of their agents, so you can get free travel tickets from them." Sage added, "You need to be a level 4 agent to do it, but your karma is ballooning really high from the lack of afterlife sessions. I think we can promote you straight to level 4. Eve also smoothed out all the documents, making this a special promotion for you. But you're on probation for now. If you mess it up, you might fall down to level 3 again." Gong Shin added, "Mess up as in..." I trailed off and let them finish my words. "Empathy, compassion, and so on. Just be human, and you'll be fine," Sage replied. I nodded in understanding. "You'll be in the world for a month, but only a day will pass by in your world. This is a special perk for agents," Gong Shin said. "Oh." My eyes lit up. "So I can shorten the research time to a month. 1 month there, 1 month here." Sage added, "If you went to a technologically advanced world, you might be able to finish the research sooner." My mind raced with the possibility of a technologically advanced universe I could venture to. But before I could get excited, Sage said, "You wouldn't be able to venture into an alive universe." "I'm sorry?" I was confused. Gong Shin added, "You can only travel to a dead world. That way, your existence wouldn't cause catastrophic damage to the timeline. If it's a dead world, your being there won't have any effect on the world." "What's the difference between alive or dead?" I asked. Gong Shin replied, "Apocalypse-type event." "I see." Sage explained more about the trip. "It wouldn't happen right away. I might need to wait 2 or 3 days, maybe even a week, before the travel order got approved. Secondly, I could bring stuff to that world, whatever I could carry, but I couldn't bring anything back here. There would be a thorough filtration process upon my return to prevent me from carrying any ancient bacteria or viruses back to this universe. So I had to plan what I was going to bring there: a supercomputer, an energy core, the virus sample, my sword, and an iron armor suit, not Iron Man armor, just something I'd cooked up myself. The world would have a high danger level. Sage said I could die there, and she was the only person who knew for sure my current combat capability. If I died, then I died only in that universe. I would return home, but I would never be able to go back there again. Sometimes, an afterlife agent will roam these dead worlds to see if there's a chance for them to be rebuilt. The agents can farm karma, and the inhabitants there might get some help in their survival. So win-win, Sage explained. I get it. Alright, see you tomorrow. I'm going to get a head start analyzing this virus, I said, waving the two of them goodbye. Wearing full PPE, I finally took out the virus from the silver case and inserted the sample into my analyzer. On the monitor, a kaleidoscope of shifting structures appeared, crystalline spikes wrapped in a helix, protein sheaths interlocking like gears, and a volatile core that shimmered with instability. I zoomed in, watching its surface proteins writhe as though alive. Each fold, each strand, seemed designed to defy every known antiviral mechanism. I pulled up the chemical compound breakdown, nucleic acids spiking in chaotic sequences that didn't resemble anything recorded in Earth's databases. What type of alien did the virus come from? Why is every information redacted? Fucking military. I cursed as I saw a lot of information from the docket was blacked out. As I was studying the virus, the world outside was undergoing a huge turmoil. The virus didn't just stay in the US. It was as if the plague carrier visited every major cities on Earth. New York, London, Paris, Beijing. The death toll was increasing faster than my initial estimate. A day passed by quickly. The chaos had turned into deathly quiet. The street was empty, so were the stores all over. Nurses and doctors weren't enough. The morgue began to fill up. The dead bodies were cremated to prevent the virus from mutating. Another day, another 10,000 plus deaths. Alex, I'm going to focus for about a day. I told Alex as I took off my PPE once I got out of the lab. Sage told me that the travel order was approved early, so I was making some preparation. Okay. In the meantime, don't check the internet. Don't do it, not even for a minute. Promise me? Alex said, which intrigued me, but I replied, sure. I'm not going to anyway since I have work to do. Alex breathed in relief. Suddenly I received another call. It was from Enid. I added her to my video call with Alex. Hey, Edward. Is this the virus? There's something growing on my face, Enid said tearily. That's it, I replied with a smile. Just pop it. I'm not going to pop it, Enid shouted. Jenna also called, and I widened my eyes when I saw her face. Enid chuckled nervously and said, Jen, you have zits growing too? No. I caught the virus, Jenna said with a heavy expression. God damn it. Jen! I told you to stay inside. I scolded her angrily. Everyone was shocked by my sudden outburst. Alex interjected. He hasn't been sleeping for 40 hours. He's really stressed out. Jen, how did you get the virus? I don't know. My mom got it, I think. She came back from New York yesterday, Jenna replied before looking at me with shaky eyes. Edward. Am I going to be okay? Everyone already knew that the virus would claim a life within the 14 days period. People with weak immune systems would die in 1 or 2 days of getting infected. I'm going to send you some antibiotics. Make sure to eat it every 2 hours. I'm going to find the cure soon. I promise, I said with a solemn expression. Chapter 405, A Whole New Zomworld. Edward POV. Inside the quarantine room, Jenna lay on the bed. Her skin was pale and clammy, dotted with angry, blistering welts that oozed yellow pus like an advanced form of chickenpox. Her eyes were bloodshot, the whites veined crimson, and thin streams of blood trickled from her nose and the corners of her mouth. Every shallow breath rattled in her chest, the sheets beneath her stained with the evidence of the virus's assault on her body. The doctors prepared to sedate her. Her only chance of surviving was to be put into a medically induced sleep while her body fought. Mr. Newgate, you can't be here, the nurse said with frustration, trying to shove me out of the room. I'm immune. And I'm not a carrier either, I replied, showing her my U.S. government clearance. She sighed and glanced at the military personnel stationed around the hospital. One of them gave her a nod, granting permission for me to stay. Hey Jen, you look awful. I stepped inside and joked, which made Jenna widen her eyes in disbelief. Edward. Why, mask? Put on a mask. She coughed violently, and I immediately grabbed her hand, sitting next to her. Jen, you don't have to worry about me. I tested yesterday, and I'm immune to this virus. In fact, I'm even studying how my blood can be used to help cure it. I'll be fine. She smiled faintly. Thank goodness. Did you hear they're going to put me to sleep today? Apparently the virus is wreaking havoc inside my body. Jenna's chin quivered, but she tried to act like she was fine. I squeezed her hand tightly and said, "You're going to be okay, Jen. I'll make sure of it." She laid back down as the doctors prepared to sedate her. "Edward, sing for me. If I don't wake up, I want the last thing I hear to be your singing," she said earnestly. I forced a smile. "Do you want me to sing your special song?" "Of course." I sang without accompaniment. "I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman's got nothing on me. I'm only one call away." Jenna's eyes grew heavy as the sedatives took hold. My voice wavered but steadied as I sang, brushing her hair back from her fevered forehead. "Call me, baby, if you need a friend. I just want to give you love." Her eyelids fluttered, a weak smile curving her lips as she listened. "No matter where you go, you know you're not alone." Finally, she slipped into unconsciousness, falling into a deep sleep. A single tear slid down my cheek. I continued the song, from start to finish, even though she was already gone to sleep. "I'm only one call away," I finished with a shaky voice. "I promise. I'm going to fix this," I whispered, kissing her hand as I made my vow. My chest felt heavy. I haven't slept for almost 3 days. Sage had to put me to sleep before my travel, which led me to have a short 3-hour rest. Even then, I felt really guilty about it. "Be sure to bring some food with you," Sage reminded me as I packed a beige backpack. "Oh right. Food. That's the important one," I said, cramming my bulky supercomputer into the bag. "Bring healthy crop seeds. If you get sick of grain pills, you can just grow them using the food growth spell you have in stock," she added. I nodded and continued packing. Water filtration tube, grain pills, the virus sample, USB containing a copy of my AI, and my meteor sword. I made sure to bring everything that would help me survive for a month over there. "Remember, don't procreate with the survivors," Sage suddenly said. "Excuse me?" I froze, baffled as I was equipping the iron suit. She repeated, "Don't procreate. Don't even kiss someone while you're there." "I'm not going to, but why exactly can't I?" I asked, intrigued. "Different bacteria species," she replied easily. I understood immediately. It was the same reason time travel was dangerous. Bacteria and viruses evolve along with humans. Kissing a survivor with a different immune system would kill them. Sage told me I was protected by the afterlife system, so I would survive, but they wouldn't. In fact, I couldn't even sneeze near them. Sage instructed me to wear the suit's filtration helmet at all times, even when sleeping. It was hard to get excited about multiversal travel when a plague was still raging in my own world. Jenna and her mother were brought to my hospital. Yes, I had a hospital, and quarantined there. I also contacted Raymond Reddington to see if he had information about Hargrave. He was searching too, tracking him somewhere in Africa. I dispatched 02 and Mikasa to help Reddington find the man responsible for all this. "If someone calls, you know what to do, right?" I asked Yuri. Yuri nodded. "Tell them you're focused on the research. If one of your exes calls, I won't reject them right away. I'll explain what you're doing so their feelings won't be hurt, just in case you want to get back together with them in the future." "I never told you that last part." I looked at Yuri in disbelief. After her first sentence, everything else had been her own words. She didn't react much, only saying, "I wish I could go with you and protect you, sir. Sorry, Yuri. I need you here when I come back. I can't live without your beverages anymore. Otherwise, I would have brought all of you with me. If I took all my android apostles to the dead world, I was sure we could clean it up and build another civilization there." "Sage, I think I'm ready," I said, fastening the helmet properly now. It was a mix between an astronaut helmet and an iron suit, sleek but heavily fortified. "All right. Be very careful, Edward." "Oh." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a green and purple vial. My Esper serum? I was stunned. Bring it with you. If you finish your research early, you can try the purple one. It's highly risky, but if you die, you'll return immediately. If not, then you'll finally see what happens when you take it, Sage suggested. Oh, good idea. I picked up the green and purple vials. The green one was milder, and the Esper ability it produced was weaker. A circular multidimensional gate opened behind me. I waved to Yuri and Sage as I walked through it. Good luck, Edward, Sage said. Be safe, sir. Yuri waved back at me. My mind went blank as I experienced the trip. It was like I was put into a blender. Oh God. I'm getting a headache. I groaned. A harsh, sandy wind hit me as I arrived at the destination. The city was filled with broken skyscrapers, abandoned streets filled with traces of battle and green ivy growing everywhere. The wind blew stronger. Then I found that the wind wasn't a natural wind. A massive pterodactyl flew across the sky. Its wingspan stretched over a mile, and the harsh wind was a byproduct of its flight. The entire world felt hot. Like scorching hot. The temperature was at 50 degrees Celsius here. It's like a dragon. What universe is this? I racked my brain, but couldn't place it with anything I'd read before. Sage had told me to come here for their advanced medicinal technology. The apocalypse had started with an alien virus from a fallen meteor, so their research might prove useful for my predicament. I should find the lab Sage mentioned. I tapped my wrist armor, projecting a mini hologram. Several spherical drones shot out from my back, scattering across the city to scan. Within minutes, I had a map of the city projecting from my hologram. I also saw the grotesque creatures roaming the streets through the drones. They were humanoid and huge. The smallest one was around 5 meters tall. Zombies? But that one has blades for hands, and that one spits fire. Mutant zombies? I muttered in disbelief. I saw them fighting with each other. Their battles were wrecking everything around them. No wonder Sage said I could die here. I raised an eyebrow, seeing their scary combat ability. Jumping off the building, I dashed through the streets, conserving battery power and staying in stealth mode. I shouldn't pick fights, just head for the research facility, I muttered, while my AI decrypted the language of this civilization. It was a strange blend of Nordic and Japanese, confusing at first, but not impossible to decipher. My armor's built-in AI tried scanning for signals. Maybe fragments of an internet network, or some kind of local transmission system, but it was a futile search. Either their entire system collapsed after the apocalypse, or they never had one in the first place. I was leaning toward the former. I had been traveling for around 15 minutes when I stumbled upon a strange scene. A woman in a white dress sat crying in the middle of the street, her face buried in her hands. Her sobs echoed eerily through the empty ruins. I slowed to a stop, narrowing my eyes. This looks way too familiar. Still, Sage had advised me not to ignore my human instinct. What if she's a survivor? I sent a basic chakra construct, a formless clone, to check. It wasn't a shadow or wood clone, just a hollow mold shaped like me. The clone approached her cautiously. Hey, what's wrong? The woman froze mid-sob. Then her head snapped up with unnatural speed, revealing a mouth full of jagged teeth and glowing, pupilless green eyes. Her arm shot out like a whip, stretching 4 meters as it pierced straight through my clone's chest. The image burned in my mind, reminding me of an old game mechanic. You have startled the witch. My clone vanished in a puff of smoke. The creature let out a piercing shriek, so loud it rattled windows and summoned a horde from the distance. Before my eyes, her body twisted grotesquely, muscles tearing and reforming until she loomed 5 meters tall. Acidic drool hissed as it dripped from her maw, eating through the concrete. Oh, thank God! I muttered in relief, already sprinting away while monitoring her through a drone orb. She searched frantically, but took a wrong turn, and stumbled into a hulking titan with blades for hands. The two monsters clashed violently. I watched as the witch tore into its corpse, pulling out a glowing core. She devoured it whole, and her claws lengthened into gleaming blades as her body swelled another meter. I shuddered. They're evolving, by consuming each other. Heart pounding, I moved carefully through the chaos, slipping past the horde until I finally reached the outskirts of an abandoned research compound. I crept through the shattered glass doors of the research compound, sweeping the interior with my drone orb. The lobby was a ruin of overturned desks, mold-eaten couches, and long-dead bodies mummified by time. The air reeked of decay and rust. Empty, I muttered, stepping over a toppled filing cabinet. Whatever was here got picked clean years ago. The labs deeper inside were no better. Broken vials scattered the floor, and the main servers had been ripped out or smashed to useless scrap. Not even a notebook remained, just dust, claw marks, and dried blood smeared across the walls. This is a dead end. I let out a slow breath, frustration mounting. Nothing here can help me. Outside, the wailing of the witch echoed faintly in the distance, and I knew the horde would soon be drawn back this way. That bitch seemed obsessed with finding me. The entire town was swarming, a death trap just waiting to close in. Staying here any longer was suicide. I could fight, but that will take a lot of energy and time, something I don't have right now. I slipped out the side exit, keeping low as I navigated through the shadow of broken buildings. That's when something caught my eye, spray-painted across the cracked facade of a government office building. Bright red letters scrawled in uneven strokes. After translation it read, Humanity Camp, 100 km. Beneath it, someone had drawn a crude map of the district in thick black lines, marking a path through the maze of rubble. The edges of the graffiti were faded, but still legible. I narrowed my eyes, tracing the route with my finger. A survivor camp, here? Could it still exist? Hope mixed uneasily with caution. If people were alive, this was my first real lead. But if the message was old, it could just as easily be bait, or a graveyard. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to be cautious. I muttered, breaking into a sprint as I followed the arrow's direction. A piercing shriek split the air again. Even from nearly a kilometer away, the witch had locked on to me. Her voice carried across the ruined city, and with it came the thunder of countless footsteps. She was bringing the horde straight to me. This is going to be troublesome. I skidded to a stop and turned, watching the flood of bodies surging closer. I can't lead them to the humanity camp. At this pace, they'll keep hounding me until I'm cornered. No. I need to erase them. All of them. Right here. I reached into my storage and activated 2 of the gacha prizes I have. One-time use skill, Uchiha Madara, Fire Style, Majestic Destroyer Flame. One-time use skill, Natsu Drang Neil. Fire Dragon Roar. Both devastating large-scale flame techniques. Majestic Dragon Destroyer Roar! I shouted as my helmet retracted backward, revealing my face. I just wanted to experience shouting out an attack name before it happened. Chakra and magic fused, ripping through my body before erupting from my mouth in a torrent of blinding white fire. The flames didn't spread, they consumed. A roaring inferno that carved through the street. The first wave of demons never even had time to scream. Their bodies disintegrated, melting into ash as the firestorm tore through them. The witch shrieked in defiance, her elongated limbs stretching outward as if to block the flames, but the white inferno swallowed her whole, her silhouette writhing and twisting in the fire. Buildings collapsed as their stone foundations softened and ran like wax, the asphalt beneath my feet bubbling as if the earth itself had caught fire. For a moment, the city looked like the inside of a furnace. By the time the flames died down, the temperature had spiked by at least 40 degrees, the air shimmering with heat. What remained of the horde were nothing but blackened shadows burned into the ground. From their ashes, crystals spilled across the street, thousands of them, faintly glowing in the heat. Most were dull gray, the cores of low-level spawn. Some shone faint yellow, a few glimmered green, and even fewer burned with the brighter hues of pink or blue. I exhaled heavily, but before I could say anything, my observation haki screamed a warning. I jumped to the side. A burned, elongated arm slammed into the spot where I had been standing. "You're not dead?" I muttered, eyes narrowing in shock. The witch was regenerating, her charred body knitting itself back together at an alarming speed. Her burned flesh peeled away as fresh skin forced itself into place. She glared at me, her face twisted with rage. "You're quite troublesome," I said coldly. "I'd like to fight you longer to see what you're really capable of, but you creep me out. So let's finish this." I activated another card. Uchiha Sasuke, Amaterasu. My 3-tomo Sharingan twisted into a 6-point Eternal Mangekyo. A black flame burst into existence, clinging to the witch's upper torso. She grimaced, shrieking as she tried to smother the flames with her hands, but the fire only spread faster, consuming her arm. She collapsed, writhing in panic, rolling across the ruined ground. Acid spewed from her mouth as she desperately tried to douse the flames, but Amaterasu's black fire only licked greedily at her body, devouring everything it touched. Her screams grew weaker. After a minute, her thrashing stilled, and her body finally collapsed, beginning to decompose into nothing. I carefully willed the one-time used Sharingan to spare her core. It glimmered in the ashes, a swirling prism of color. Like a rainbow. Using a mage hand magic I have learned, I swept the battlefield, pulling the scattered crystals into my grasp. 2,000 cores in total, and I could sense the lingering energy in them. How do I bring this with me? I have a feeling that something troublesome will happen if I leave these here. I had no storage skill even though I have hundreds of gacha prizes in store. I pocketed 6 of those, 1 from each category. I should destroy them, I said, sighing in frustration. Suddenly, my ocean ring glowed slightly. I retracted the armor around my right hand, and the blue ring suddenly absorbed the cores for me. "Are you keeping it for me, or are you absorbing it for yourself?" I muttered jokingly. Then I realized I could sense the cores inside, submerged into a water body. Without looking back, I turned and ran toward the direction of the humanity encampment. "Only a few stragglers left in the city, huh?" I muttered as I checked the drone feed. "If I have an opportunity, I might come back and clean up this place," I thought out loud. It took me half an hour to get to the map location while traveling on foot. Unfortunately, what greeted me was an abandoned campsite instead of a thriving humanities shelter. I searched the camp for some information, and suddenly, my observation haki was detecting someone coming from my back, an invisible person. He thought he could kill me. I was glad that I could finally meet a person to get the lore of the world from. He almost stabbed me with a spear, but I grabbed his neck even when he was on stealth mode and threatened using the translated language here. "Undo your ability if you want to live." He choked and coughed, trying to punch my hand away, but he was too weak to do so. He finally turned off his ability, letting me see the long-haired, dirty beard, half-naked old man with only a few teeth left. His body was thin, his back was hunched. He has no shoes on, or any other clothes except for dirty gray underwear. "Who are you, a caveman?" I asked with disbelief. "Hey, fuck you, man!" he cursed at me. Since he tried to kill me, I wasn't polite and pulled back my helmet before staring at him with my Sharingan. "Tell me everything." That wraps up this part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released 1 day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.